Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. As it was a new year, I figured we should, do a podcast and probably get back on the back on a roll. So we'll kick off in a moment. For those on a watch back, hello. You can still have a happy new year too. I am just going to share the broadcast on my Facebook pages, which is the one thing I cannot automate, but it's incredibly quick. I hope you had a really good Christmas and New Year. Obviously, if you went to Charlton, hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be talking about that. It is worth bearing in mind we haven't done a podcast since after the Villa game with Hucks. So it has been a fair amount of time, which means we've missed the Arsenal and Palace games. And of course, the Leicester game was called off. So we're going to be doing a slight bit of catch up, but not a lot, because why would anyone want to relive anything that happened in those games? You're probably wondering, well, Michael, I can see your face, but who else is going to be on the podcast this evening? Sorry, I'm not very quick at sharing these, am I? I'm almost done. Well, I will show you in 2 seconds who we've got on for our first podcast of 2022. I am euphoric in the return of the podcast. It's very exciting. I think it's really good to have it back for the new year. I think we all needed a break over Christmas, certainly the players. But there we go. So I've done that now. So that is thankfully a task done. We need to do better at that. Here's who we've got on. We have. I'm going to shift them around now because I enjoy doing that. There you go. It's myself, Steve, Dan Brigham, and Ryan Livermore, and I'm sure they're about to wave to let you know that this is not just a still. There we go. Look at that. They're excited. They're excited to be here. I'm going to talk on their behalf on that matter, and then they can tell us how excited they are. Right. Thank you for persevering with all the stalling. Although I did say we'd go live at 8, and then I ended up going live just before 10 past. So we were ahead of schedule because I delayed the schedule by 10 minutes. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, to basically manipulate the schedule so that I'm always early. So I've been through what we're going to go through. Ryan's on, which of course means there will be a quiz. I think we're going to do the quiz in Wits End. Now, you guys will hopefully know what that is, because this is one of the few places where I am able to publicly talk about Wits End, because it won't get mentioned on the actual podcast. So hang around, because I reckon, although Ryan will address the quiz to us, you guys and girls out there can definitely join in and suggest answers on the comments. So we'll try that and see who gets there first. So that should be fun. Other than that, that's it. I should flag up I did my first The Athletic live room at lunchtime today, which was fun on the Athletic app. So I might do those as a regular feature on Monday lunchtime. And maybe they'll be a good precursor to the podcast. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, but there we go. So if you listen to that, I hope you enjoyed it. We had quite a few on it. Anyway, that's enough of that shenanigans. I'm ready with my script. My buzzer is ready, but you can't hear it. So this is good. As the pre-record, you get to witness me practicing so that things work. So that's done. Pen, paper for timings. Anyone got any ideas what to talk about Norwich City wise? Good. We will do that. In that case, I reckon we crack on. Thanks for being with us. I hope you enjoy the next 45 minutes of podcast action. I tell you what, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. There you go. Let's crack it. I haven't updated any of the stings or done any of the puns updates, by the way. But let's just brush over that and just carry on in the vein of Norwich trying to compete in the FA Cup. And let's kick off this whole shenanigans with the podcast opening sting. See you on the other side. Enjoy the pod. Hello all, happy new year and welcome to the 92nd edition of On the Ball, the Norwich City podcast that knows all about turkeys, given the extended Christmas we've just had. I'm Michael Bailey, I cover the Canaries for The Athletic, and I hope this finds you safe and well for our first podcast of 2022. On the way, addictive viewing, one rash we're happy to see return, and how long do we give the bubble? We will work through all that and more with our guests this fine 2022 evening. They are Norwich number one chief at NCFC Numbers, also known as our very own Steve Sanders.
Hello, Michael.
We have former Norwich City head of content and program editor Daniel Brigham.
Hello, Michael.
And my old mustard TV mucker and OTB's official random quizmaster generator, Ryan Livermore.
Evening, Michael.
And there we go. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you, everyone out there, for joining us this fine Monday evening. How are we, Steve? Happy New Year. I mean, Happy New Year, Dan. Happy New Year, Ryan. Happy New Year, Steve. Steve, how are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well, Michael. It feels a bit late, doesn't it? 10th,
yes,
are we now? But I guess it'd be wrong not to go. Is this the fourth year of the On the Ball podcast? Did we start in 2019? So therefore, sort of tenuously saying we're 4 years old.
When did we start? I know it's number 92. I can't go by. I think we started in 2020. No, I think you're right. November 2019.
November 2019. So there you go. This is the fourth official year of the On the Ball podcast. Which somehow it doesn't really work, but anyway. Yes, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Amazing. I was just trying to get my head around the fact that I was at the Athletic only a few months before we started doing podcasts. But yeah, maybe that was right. Goodness knows. Wow. Yeah. Good. Glad you're well, Steve. What was the best thing that happened to you? Ignoring all football. I'm throwing this out to all of you. You've got to answer it. We're all about the positivity. The best thing that happened to you since we were last on a podcast, Steve.
I got some chocolate coins for Christmas.
That was it.
They were really nice.
That's solid. Good. I did. I cracked open a bottle of Baileys. That's mine. Oh, yeah. If anyone was wondering.
Nice.
Do you drink Baileys at Christmas because your name is Michael Bailey, or do you like Baileys?
I mean, I think I don't think I could separate it from the enjoyment I get in the fact that it carries my name, not literally just the same name. And whenever I spell my name, I have to say as in the drink. I don't know why, because most people can spell Bailey, really.
I say as in the KFC guy, that's where I go.
Works. It works, Steve.
Please move on to someone else.
Yeah, quick. I do like Baileys as well. Maybe they'll send me a bottle. Dan, what was the best thing that happened to you over Christmas, New Year?
I'd say discovering Stollen for the first time. 39 years old, so my 39th Christmas, and I'd never had Stollen before until this year. And I can't get enough of it now. Well, I can literally get enough of it now because you can't get it anywhere again. I've got to wait 12 months.
Yeah, that disappears pretty quickly out of the shops, doesn't it? Wow. I thought you were glowing, and now I know why.
Can I ask an immediate question to Steve? Because I was just thinking it was nice to start the year with a win.
Yeah.
How many times have Norwich City started a year with a win? That could be a little task for you by the end of this show.
In their entire history.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
118 seasons.
I'd rather Steve spoke on the podcast, to be honest, Dan.
I'll be leaving now. I'll see you in about half an hour, something like that.
maybe we'll come back to that one maybe next year, next week, or next year, whenever you get the answer, Steve. Don't you worry. Ryan, welcome, second pod appearance.
Thank you very much.
It's always a delight to have you on. We'll be having you on regularly. Absolutely. Are you well? What was the best thing that happened to you over your Christmas?
Oh, well, I found a quid at Sea Pauling on the floor.
Wow. We've all had brilliant Christmas.
I know. Tell me about it.
I mean, mine were in chocolate. That's real money.
I then spent it on the crane machines and won nothing. But I've still found a quid in the sand.
Hey,
Happy New Year, guys.
It gave you that moment of joy.
Exactly. The whole year hinged on that moment, and now it's just downhill from there.
I mean, in many ways, you provided the perfect segue to what is this week's, our first of the year, headline act. Yes, in the words of Ryan, the early highlight of the year, and it's all downhill from here. Norwich City won in the FA Cup at Charlton on Saturday. I mean, we are wrapping up quite a lot of football here because we haven't been on since Norwich lost at home to Aston Villa when they looked particularly off colour. a fair bit has happened since then, but we will start with what is probably the only real good bit, but the bit that happened most recently as well. So therefore is freshest in our minds. And that was, of course, Norwich's emphatic victory, 1-0 over League One Charlton. Did you see the goal? They scored a goal. It's brilliant. It was like, a goal. I did write a piece on The Athletic where I tried to pick it apart and draw every sinew of positivity from it. Could you give us some of those sinews of possibility of hopefulness from that moment against Charlton, Steve?
From that, I haven't
wasn't read anything else. It was literally the goal.
that was literally. I think the most positive, the best moment of the game before that point was I think Grant Hanley barreling into Chris Gunter as he was warming up from the side of the pitch. That was literally the best point of the game before then. A goal. We won. I don't think you can take that for granted at the moment. That's all good news, right? I think that first half was. I haven't seen every game this season, so I didn't see the Palace game when we were 3-0 down at half time. But I can't remember a worse first half than that for quite a while. Maybe we've been spoiled on Farkball, but it was that first 45 was. I suppose it was all the more disappointing because there's a number of players there who you kind of thought, here's their opportunity. This is what they can show that they're capable of. Particularly in mind that we're probably going to be in the Championship next season. But there was just nothing. And then I suppose to spin the positive out of it, within maybe 10 minutes of coming on, I think it took a little while in the second half as well. But the three players that came on at halftime, Williams and particularly Rashica and Pukki, made an instant impact. Well, no, they didn't because I just said it took 10 minutes, but they made an impact. And it was, it was kind of night and day from the rest that played. And I suppose that does give a little bit of hope for the rest of the season in that you look at those two, Rashica, Pukki, and think, well, maybe if they can add somebody else to that front three, you've maybe got a three there that could be an attacking force for the rest of the season. That's kind of as much as I've got to cling on to. But a win is a win, and I don't think we should overlook the fact that they did get over the line because a lot of other Premier League teams didn't over the weekend. So
Newcastle did Norwich a right turn, didn't they? Let's be honest. And here's to you, Wes Hoolahan and Cambridge United. And you've preempted my question, Steve, which was actually going to be how I was trying, and I said this in my video after the game, how I can't remember the last time Norwich were that bad in the first half and when it would be, because this was against League One opposition. So you're ruling out a lot of teams just given by the fact that they were playing mediocre third tier opposition. So you're either picking out a cup performance or,
Colchester.
2009-10. Yeah, well, it was goalless at halftime, so there was that. The goal being scored as well. I'm not sure who the defender was, but the one on the line did do a good turn of sort of falling over just as Milot Rashica was about to hit it, which probably helped as well. Dan is. I feel that with Milot Rashica, he now has his first goal, so that's good. It was from a few yards and beat the defender. He had his first assist before that, which was a corner, but there was some influence he was imparting on the team before he got injured, and in those sort of 4 weeks that he's been missing, he's become the world beater that is the difference between survival and relegation. So where's the reality there? Because it was nice to see someone be able to sort of support Teemu Pukki in an actual counter attack for starters.
Players often get better in their absence, don't they? But I think it's true that he was probably our best attacking threat for the month before he got injured. I think he sort of took a little while to get used to Premier League football, but you can say he definitely had. He goes inside, goes outside as well. He's got a decent shot on him. He's prepared to take shots as well. He looks pretty intelligent. He's got a turn of pace, and he's hard to knock off the ball as well. So it was clear when Rashica and Pukki came on that they were really the only two players on that pitch that were making Charlton look like a League One side. No one else that first half made Charlton look like a League One side. I suppose Hanley had a relatively decent game coming back from injury as well, but in an attacking side, you couldn't tell the difference between the two teams. But Pukki and Rashica really kind of showed their class when they came on. And another sort of positive to take from it was that it was nice to celebrate a goal without worrying that VAR would overturn it. Not that that's happened to us very often this season, the opportunity for that to happen. And also the coverage that I was watching didn't have any commentary on, so I didn't have to spend 90 minutes listening to two people rightly slag off our performance. But I do think, though, after kicking off the year with a win, players coming back from injury, our two biggest attacking threats playing well in the sort of 30 minutes they had, means we can probably just about take a positive away from that game going into the rest of the season.
Thank goodness. I'll take that. The thing it did strike me, Ryan, was that without Teemu and Mila on the pitch, it was pretty awful across the team. And should there be a sort of a deeper worry about what the shape of the squad is kind of in long term, really, in terms of the quality that was on show? Or is it, are they still getting up to speed because they've been out and they've been a lot on, and everyone had Christmas? Maybe that's just us.
No, good question. I don't think that the preparation the last 2 or 3 weeks has obviously helped with COVID and the like, and you have got a lot of players who are getting back up to speed. I do kind of think it's helped some of the players haven't been in the firing line as much, like Milot Rashica hasn't necessarily had to contend with the utter travesties that were Arsenal and Palace, for example. So coming is a fresh impetus for him as well. But I honestly just think that, that first half was one of the worst I've seen for a while, to be honest. But I think the fact that they can still grind something out despite that, and it's bad, but the fact that they can win despite something like that, I think should be a positive. And at this point, we were so bad over Christmas that I think anything positive you just cling on to. And I hate to sound really doom and gloom when I say that, but it was just so bad up until the 60th minute yesterday, really. And hopefully that's something they can build on.
I don't think there's any issue with embracing any of this, because it's going to be a long few months. So let's just take it. Let's do everything with a smile. We'll be absolutely fine. That's how I'm getting through this. There was a tweet on the Out of Context Norwich account, I think that I saw, which was a screen grab from a Charlton fan who basically said that, no offense, but Norwich looked like the worst Premier League team he'd ever seen.
See that.
And then some comment about Josh Sargent, which you can probably imagine.
But the comments from all the Norwich fans replying were just like, instead of getting over it, like, yeah, fair enough. Sounds about right, to be honest.
This is the thing, but we can't sugarcoat it, can we? The team scored 8 Premier League goals halfway through a season. It's ridiculous.
Because that Charlton fan who tweeted that then later tweeted saying that he couldn't quite believe that we're one win away from being 17th, which kind of shows both sides of where we're at. We've been absolutely awful, yet somehow we've still got a relatively realistic chance of staying up if we can turn it around, which is absurd. We've been mostly awful.
I guess it helps that there are just 4 teams I think now cut adrift. I don't think there's going to be anyone else in the fight, and we've got half the season to go, and Newcastle can spend whatever they want. I mean, I don't care that they got knocked out by Cambridge. They're still going to be more than capable of spending a few million quid and getting themselves out. Anyway, we've got to obviously touch on the prize of Norwich's success at Charlton, which was the trip to Wolves. Dan, could you give me a noise that would sort of describe your feelings at the moment that Norwich were revealed as the last team in the hat?
Just one noise. A silent hat.
Yeah, they could be your new stings. Those notes.
Yeah. Headline act. It's a long rest of the season to go.
I suppose what I would say is it's if we lose to them, at least it's better than losing against Charlton, isn't it, in the FA Cup? If we lose to Wolves, there's a positive for you.
Right? Wow, this is going to be good. We're going to be really good at this, though. They're looking for positive things. We're going to be so good at this. It's what it's all about this year. Okay, so Wolves, that's exciting. John Brady will be in goal, I guess. There you go.
Did he play yesterday?
He did. He did play yesterday, and I think his son was in the squad.
Yeah,
I think
was it? How old? His son's very young.
I haven't double checked. He was certainly on the pitch in kit.
I think his son is 14, so I don't.
Okay.
I'm guessing his son wasn't
in the squad.
Have you just Googled that, Steve? How do you know?
No.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I do not Google the age of teenage boys. Just to be absolutely clear on that point. No, but no, I saw it on Twitter. Is the answer to that.
Which is much better. So there we go. And this was something else. I mean, I speak as a journalist who's, I've done this job for however many years it is now. It seems to feel like more years when you have seasons like this. And you go into a cup game and you're like, well, this is a really, really good chance to regain some momentum, to do this, to do that momentum, and let's change the blah, whatever. Can anyone recall any side ever changing their league form with something positive in a cup game? Because I can't. I think the amount of times I've thought that it's a thing, I can't think of it.
Us losing to Portsmouth when we got promoted the first time under Daniel Farke meant we could concentrate on the league when Sheffield United and Leeds United both went through.
Well, you see, that's getting knocked out. So what we're saying is that the whole cliche of concentrating on the league is actually a thing. But the idea you could perform well in the cup and then all of a sudden it gives you momentum. Maybe this is going to be the one case. Maybe this will be the case.
Yeah,
I await the results of that experiment. Okay, well, that's I think the FA Cup stuff done pretty much, unless anyone wants to bring up anything in particular, although you might be able to do that in a bit. Because there's quite a few performances we haven't touched on. Obviously, worth noting that Grant Hanley was back in the team, so that was good. Was there anyone else who came back in? Tim Krul was in goal and potentially made a save at the end when he tipped it onto the bar, or whether the guy just hit the bar.
I can work out whether they got a touch on that or not.
No, I'd need to watch it back, and then probably still wouldn't be able to tell. Okay, well, in that case, we can just wrap up some of the Premier League action. I don't even know if I can remember the scores. Was it 5-0 against Arsenal? Yeah. Who just got knocked out by Nottingham Forest. That was a desperate game. I remember that being a very desperate game. I remember having the same feelings throughout the Crystal Palace game, where Norwich folded like a deck of cards. Obviously, Billy Gilmore's reaction from the supporters grabbed most of the column inches. I even wrote some words on it myself, which you can read if you don't want to be reminded of all that. That's absolutely understandable, so don't worry. Billy has got an injury which was being scanned, so he's not going to be available for the West Ham game, and I guess if they're scanning it, it could be a ligament injury that keeps him out for a little while, so that would obviously be a shame. And then the Leicester game was postponed on New Year's Day, which was actually possibly one of the best things that happened to me over the course of the festive period, because I took the day off, had it with my family, and it was lovely. And we then didn't do a podcast on that following Monday, did we? So it had quite a profound effect, that Leicester game, I think.
I think it was benefit for all of us, I think, not having to face that game on New Year's Day.
I love that. Well, Norwich seem to be in a better place now as a squad, so that's one thing. And I think as we approach the end of this half-time, and we try to maintain our concentration, much like me with this link, I reckon we go for a bit of this. That's right. It's pick that one out, where our podders each get a window to bring up an issue that they're struggling to let go of. If they lose themselves for more than 30 seconds, the buzzer sounds. It's time to let it go, maybe. Or you could just keep going and we'll have a big old battle. So that's the drill. Dan, you were quite happy that you'd already come up with one before we started recording. So I'm keen for you to go first if you're happy to go first.
Okay, yeah. First time I've come up with one, so this isn't impromptu.
Well, we'll be expecting a much higher quality.
I've done some research as well, which I've written down. Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. Let's see if we can keep it to 30 seconds then. Off you go.
Okay, so this is something we spoke about earlier in the week, Michael, which is how bad we are in the FA Cup. 30 years on from our last appearance in the FA Cup semi-finals, when we, of course, lost to a team in a lower division than us. In that time, we've won only 18 matches, got to the quarterfinals only once, and the fifth round only 3 other times. And for a reminder, that only takes 2 wins to get to the fifth round. We've lost to 21 different sides, lost to 6 sides twice and 1 side 3 times, lost to non-league Luton Town while a Premier League side, so thanks Chris Hughton. Also lost to Grimsby, Bury, Carlisle, Leyton Orient, Portsmouth when they were League One, Brentford when they were awful. Twice gone 5 or more seasons without a win in the FA Cup. Beaten only 15 teams, including Tamworth, Poulton Rovers, and Dagenham and Redbridge.
Yes. You can only beat what's in front of you.
But spare a thought for Coventry City, who we've beaten 3 times, which is a fifth of our FA Cup wins in 30 years.
Wow.
But all of this has not stopped me putting a fiver on Norwich City to win the FA Cup this season, though.
Oh. I've only buzzed you for that. Really. Because we were well over
30
time.
seconds, surely.
Yeah, no, you were well over. But I was just enjoying the strategy, and plus you put the research in, so I didn't want to cut you off. Who's the team that's knocked us out 3 times in?
That's what I was wondering.
Sheffield Wednesday.
No, nothing embarrassing about this. To be
West Ham.
West Ham have done this twice, as have Sheffield Wednesday.
Manchester United.
Chelsea.
There we go, Ryan.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Oh, nice work.
Good shout. Nothing embarrassing about that. Thank goodness. Another positive. We are.
Yeah, also, one of the 3 times we got to the 5th round, we lost 5-0 to Everton to get knocked out.
Amazing. Well, one win at Wolves away. 1 win at Wolves away. From
in the last 30 years? No. Okay.
From what I'm declaring history.
I'm also looking forward to Steve, after this podcast, double checking everything I've just said to make sure.
By the way,
that to tweet.
That was our 4th win in the last 6 years of the first of that year in terms of the calendar year. So I hope that's something.
How have you done that? That's amazing.
The spreadsheet's always handy, Michael. It's always there. It never leaves me.
I thought you were quiet. Well, in that case, Steve, you can go next.
Okay. Am I starting now?
Go for it.
I'll start now. Yeah, I don't want to bring the mood down because I feel like this one's a little bit more serious, really. But there's been a few incidents over the last couple of weeks. We had some racist abuse on Twitter. I know there's been reports of homophobic abuse. Somebody who is a friend of this podcast reported some sexist abuse and was kind of called out on social media by other Norwich City fans. It's kind of a little bit disappointing, really. It's not how I see our fan base, and I know we're going through tough times at the moment on the pitch, but I kind of think I don't know that nothing. That it's completely inexcusable, and it's just kind of disappointing to see, particularly when that's not the kind of club that I know that we are. It's a very small minority, but there's just no excuse for it, and just I think we kind of need to cut it out. That's all I can say on the matter, really.
Well said. I'm not buzzing that at all. Well said, Steve. I'm glad you brought it up. And that's why even if Norwich are losing a lot of games, we will still laugh through it ourselves, because you can be nice human beings. You don't have to take it out on things and your prejudices and whichever. So yeah, well said. Let's hope that mood changes, because it's not exactly been a great few weeks, has it, for Norwich City or the supporters and the reputational issues, shall we say, of individuals. Nicely done, Ryan.
I don't know how I follow that, to be honest, but I'll give it a go. My point is nowhere near as profound as Steve's.
That's fine. It means I can buzz you, so that's great. When you're ready, go for it.
Good. So I'm not a fan of this attitude of, it's only Charlton, because throughout the years, how many times have we been that team who we've got a big draw at home and we've pushed that team all the way? Like I think of Chelsea a few years ago, and going back over the years where we have been that team who have really put the sword to the bigger team, as it were. And how many times have the big teams come unstuck in those situations? And given the utter dross of the last few weeks, I think showing that resilience against a team who I think thought we were there for the taking is a more positive than negative thing for sure. Even if it is only Charlton.
I know, I love it, and we'll definitely take it. Too right, Ryan. Good stuff. And likewise, there were a few Charlton fans who were saying, they dominated the game. I mean, they were better in the first half, but they didn't do much for most of the second half by their last chance. So, but we'll be kind. It's all fine. Happy days. Well, I think we've sorted that one out. I now like to sort of go through the list of the things we're not going to talk about. I suppose one of those was Ozan Kabackenbauer. Striding for. I mean, he's a curious player because he's clearly got something about him. Yet I don't think he listens to any of his teammates, and I'm not entirely sure they listen to him. So I can't work out if it's a good thing. I mean, it doesn't strike me as a particularly good thing, but
It's not a good thing. I mean, I know we've done the Arsenal game, but he was at fault for that first Arsenal goal by when he could have just booted it. He tried to do something clever. You don't want your centre backs doing clever things, not when you're in our position.
Well, that especially as he was like out on the right flank, basically. So he just out of position. I mean, you say clever. He was just. I mean, he was simply trying to play a ball up the line, I think, and couldn't manage it. But
is Gibson injured at the moment, or was he just not playing yesterday?
So. I have a feeling he didn't.
Yesterday?
Was he on the bench? Okay.
He was on the bench. I have a feeling he'll start at West Ham, having not played on Sunday, but who knows? I might be wrong. Maybe it's a Grant and Kabak fest from here on in. I mentioned Gilmore's injury. I did just want to say, I can see Matthias Norman is getting closer to coming back. I still don't think he'll be playing any Premier League football before February. Just to maybe make that point, I might be wrong. Maybe he'll make the Wolves game, which is the FA Cup weekend at the very start of February. I don't know. But I've seen a lot of people getting very excited. I feel like, we're probably not going to see Matthias for a few weeks yet. So don't get too excited. Cue him being back tomorrow. What do I know? or Wednesday, whatever it is. But there we are. Anything anyone else wanted to bring up of our little notes?
I was just going to say, just because you mentioned Norman and to go, I had a look because Dan mentioned the fact that Norman and Rashica are both on their way back on Twitter yesterday, and the two of them have only, believe it or not, only started 5 games together for us this season. And even in this dreadful season, we've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 2, which doesn't sound amazing, but when you consider we've lost basically every game this season, you wonder if you can get those 2 on the pitch together, albeit very different positions and what have you. But they are our 2 outstanding signings from the summer. So again, maybe I'm just clinging on to positives, but wonder if we can, then we might start stringing some results together.
7 points from 5 games. That is a survival record.
That ratio will keep us
up, providing you don't, lose your first 8 games or 10 games or whatever it was. I mean, I did think, and I really like Jakob Sorensen as a player, but I do rather feel like we keep seeing when he plays in midfield why he's not playing in midfield. But
can I bring up a comment as you've mentioned that, Michael, from Simon Copperwheat?
Oh yeah,
at 8:10 towards the top. Happy New Year, Michael, Steve, et al. How are you all? Bearing in mind that Lungi Sorensen has a lack of pace in midfield, what would you think about swapping him positionally with Ozan Kabak?
Wow. I mean, if Norwich are already relegated, I think we should definitely do that because that will be entertaining.
Yeah.
I think Jakob would. I still think he works well as a centre back, and especially on like the right of a 3. Or although I don't know, I feel like I'd want to see him. He's in the box defending a bit more to maybe judge. But in a 3, I think he can definitely do that. But I'm not sure about him as a midfielder for that kind of reason, especially at Premier League level. And I thought that he looked a little bit short of it at Championship level. I thought he looked better at left back, which probably was not what he would want to hear. But that was just my view. What do you reckon, Dan?
Well, central midfield tends to be where Kabak gives the ball away anyway, isn't it? Well, after he's started on his runs 10 yards into it and he's dispossessed. So maybe if we start him in central midfield, at least he'll be losing the ball a little bit higher up the pitch.
He's a great carrier of the football until the end. But there we go. I mean,
he seems to be always trying to replicate Johnny Helson's goal against Man City every time he plays.
You would seen it.
Maybe one day he will.
We've all tried to do that at the park. Where would you play Ozan Kabak, Ryan?
I mean, I honestly don't know anymore. I mean, I think the jury's still out on him. Let's just say that much.
Bless him. Right, in that case, I reckon we're nicely secure for a halftime sting. So let's dip in for a bit of that. Which does tee us in nicely to Centrefold this week, which I won't bother playing the sting. We'll just talk about it. But yeah, Centrefold, it's January. which I hopefully hasn't escaped all of you, which of course means Happy New Year, but it also means transfer business, one of my favorite times of the year, apart from all the time when there's no transfer business. Very exciting. I mean, for Norwich, it is what it is, which is kind of generally ignored in the past, if we're honest. And when they've tried to do business in January, it hasn't tended to do anything of particular note. We are 10 days into this January transfer window. So far, it's mostly been about loans. There was one today. In fact, actually, Rocky Bashiri has been loaned to Hibernian. That is with a view to Hibs having an option to buy him if that goes well. So I'm sure Ben Kensel and Stuart Webber probably had a good chat discussing through that one, which is a fun thing to imagine. And it will be interesting to see how Rocky does, because he has had a knee injury, but also I would guess in the summer of 2019, when Norwich were spending 7 figures almost on young talents to develop, and one of them was a Belgian under-21 international, they probably would have hoped for a bit more than what Rocky has done in his loans whilst he's been away. What do you make of the loan situation at the moment, Steve? Because I mean, Norwich have brought in quite a few youngsters that you sort of would have hoped some of them would be making an impact. I mean, these loans seem to be mostly about servicing the squad rather than providing first team players at the moment. Maybe the exception being Bali Mumba, who scored on his debut, by the way, for Peterborough. But
yeah, I think Mumba is the exception, really, isn't it? I can't really think, because it's a kind of a laudable approach, I suppose, to bring in younger players in the hope that they'll develop, and we kind of need to do that with the way that we do our business and the way that the club's structured. And I'm sure also it's very hard to find these kind of bargains. But equally, we have signed a lot of them. And I can't think of anyone between the age of 18 to 21 who we've kind of got in that sort of, I don't know, £1 million or less kind of region that's really gone on. And I may be forgetting someone really obvious here. Since Webber came in. Sorry, go on, Dan.
Omar Bamidele, I guess.
Well, he would have been. He was already with the club, so he was recruited as a 16-year-old, I think, from Ireland. So slightly different situation. But
I suppose I guess Omar Bamidele is kind of on the cusp of what we're talking about. But I suppose we have got this reputation of bringing through young players, but they're sort of the players who have already been in the academy. So that does leave you looking at the recruitment of the young players that we have signed, and I think it can be questioned, because not a lot of clubs don't have any of those kind of young players, but just the sheer volume of the ones we've signed, who you'll then hear about a couple of years later they've released, and you think, oh yeah, them. It's like Melvin City was brought in. He was supposed to be the next Tetty, wasn't he? And he'd moved on last summer. I think William Hondermark, he's turned out for Barnsley. You just see these names crop up and you think, oh yeah, they were with us at one point. So yeah, I don't know whether it's a concern. It's just you kind of lose faith in the process after a while, because you think, well, they're probably never going to make it.
We're gonna get exposed to a few next season, aren't we, in the Championship? If that's how it pans out, you can see it. You can see it now. I mean, certainly, sort of 3-4 years under the same, model, you would expect maybe some to get quite close to coming through. And probably the last player I can think of where they went out on loan, came back, and then really excelled, and again, I might be wrong, and maybe this is just me trying to get it into a segue, is probably Todd Cantwell, which is arguably going to be the subject of the coming weeks or whichever. I mean, if you want to know how I see things at the moment, I was expecting Todd to be involved and to start at Charlton. He then didn't, which I guess was because, it was suggested it was a knock initially, and then Dean Smith went on and said it was illness. So, but either way, I think it was Todd who took himself out of contention to play. There are a few clubs being linked. I don't get the impression there's any hard and fast interest that's actually come through, although I do think that he is on Newcastle's list by all accounts, from what it sounds like up in the north, but don't think they'd be spending 15 million quid on him necessarily. Doesn't sound like Todd's going to sign a new contract, although Norwich can take up their option for another 12 months if if Todd's still here at the end of this transfer window.
Do you think he will be, Michael? If you had to put money on it, do you think he would be here at the end of January?
I think it would be. I would be very well. I don't know. I can't reconcile that because you need someone to want to buy him, and if they then sense that Norwich want to get rid, they're going to reduce the price. So that, what cost do Norwich want to sell him, and how does that impact who they want to get in? Can Norwich not get someone in until Todd's gone? Can they still loan someone in beforehand? Does that affect the value?
Is there not a worry as well that someone can come in from abroad and basically get him on a free? Now they can approach him in January, can't they, to move in the summer?
That is a good question. I would guess that is because Norwich have an option in their power. That's impossible because I think that would usurp any agreement. It's a great question, though. I hadn't thought about that. He's 23 as well, and so that is the cusp. I don't know if you have to be 24 to get that, or whether it's 23 at the time, but 24 that year. I don't know. And thankfully, I don't need to know because I think the option will usurp it. But that is a good question. And obviously, if Norwich do, they might have to reconcile the fact they might lose him for no fee, which has been suggested to me in the last, I think even at the start of last season, that, you look at Todd and the services provided rather than necessarily the fee he goes for at the end, which I think is almost a justification of what might happen rather than a good scenario to play out, given Norwich like to get their money in. But I mean, it does strike me, Dan, as just so far removed from what it was supposed to be. Todd was supposed to be filling the hole left by Emmy and was supposed to be this player that had really kicked on from the Championship and the Premier League seasons before.
There was a moment at the start, just before kickoff of the Villa game, where Emmy and Todd had quite a sort of touching embrace just before the ref blew his whistle to start, and it just at the time it occurred to me sort of how poles apart their careers have gone. I mean, Emmy's a better player; he's more gifted player, but Emmy's kind of playing under Steven Gerrard at a team that are buying, Coutinho or bringing him on loan, and Todd's barely getting into the side bottom of the Premier League who've won 2 games all season. And it's quite sad. I mean, I'm not necessarily, I don't think he's ever he's ever going to be a top 10 Premier League player, but he should absolutely be doing a job for us. So, and I just kind of, and I'm saying this based on nothing, obviously, I've heard or anything, but I just hope he's okay, because he kind of looks like a bit of a shadow of the guy he was in the Championship last season. Against Villa, he looked sort of haunted. He looked timid. He looked like the crowd were really getting to him. And that's not the kind of confident player we came to expect to see last season. So I just hope he's okay.
I actually think that's a really good point, and something I'm really conscious of, and something I have. You speak to people about all sorts of various things. It's one of the things I've been asking, because it's, as you say, it looks like he's had the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. And I mean, footballers aren't this is a hard conversation to have, because you end up sounding like you're speculating. So I'm not going to speculate, because I don't know. It's just a genuine concern for a human being. Anything any human being goes through, high profile people go through the same things. They're not immune to it. It doesn't matter what your situation is, what you earn, how much you love what you do. Anyone can come up with and suffer anything. That was almost in quite a desperate situation with the coronavirus pandemic. It was a remarkable situation for the fact that everyone had to go through it, regardless of what they were doing. Well, unless you're in the government, obviously. But so it's I think that there's plenty there that is private. And it must be very difficult anyway as a high profile person. I have to say, I mean, it strikes me, just getting back to a purely football setting on it. I don't know how many clubs there are, Steve, that would have the money to tempt Norwich, I guess, and be maybe willing to spend it, which I guess is why, to me, Newcastle's interest feels quite important. I don't necessarily see Leeds or Villa. I mean, Villa are just loaning in Coutinho. They're not going to come along and buy Todd Cantwell. I mean, these are teams that have been linked, but not necessarily where there's serious interest anyway. Whereas Newcastle, what the hell, hey? What's money?
Yeah, well, we know Newcastle have definitely got enough money. I suppose there is the potential there with Cantwell. I mean, it's not exaggerating to say that we were sort of quoting, 25, 30 million for him in the summer.
100%.
I mean, that's probably fair. So, And you think back to that time and think, God, we couldn't have afforded to lose him then. And obviously what's followed has been a huge disappointment for a myriad of reasons, as we've already mentioned. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the other way of looking at it is going, well, here's a guy who last time was in the Premier League, did really well in a side that didn't. So there is latent potential there, and there's still plenty of time to exploit that. But yeah, I see where you're coming from, especially with the contract situation. Like, could probably get him for less in a year's time potentially. So I don't know. It depends how low we're prepared to go to accept it, because I would assume that any incomings that we would have, or that we'd spend any kind of money on in January, would be reliant on Todd going. So it's how desperate are we to get that money in, and what kind of money would we accept for Todd in order to have some funds to spend.
Who comes in? I mean, I'm going by complete speculation here. This is me shedding any authority you think I have. I have no authority in this situation. But if Todd went to Newcastle, I saw obviously some people have suggested, oh well, Jacob Murphy can come back, which would be beautifully sentimental, or Dwight Gale, get him in. And my immediate thought was, oh, Dwight Gale, he always scores goals. Norwich don't score any goals. That would be great. And then I was thinking, yeah, but would anyone give him any chances to to score any goals? And then that made me think, what do Norwich actually need? So say Todd goes, what do they need to score more goals at this level? And I appreciate none of us are qualified to answer this question.
Well, are you looking for an answer?
Yeah, go on.
It's what we've needed for this year and the last year we're in the Premier League. And this may sound a stretch for scoring more goals, but it's a proper defensive midfielder that allows us to control a match better, and therefore control the game a little bit better, control the possession, play higher up the pitch, and create more chances. We just simply don't have a defensive midfielder. We pursued Philip Billing, so we knew we wanted one. We pursued him quite hard by all reports.
I'm still not sure is
but we were
defensive midfielder. But carry on.
Matthias Norman isn't a defensive midfielder. No. He could be an excellent box-to-box. And the thing with a defensive midfielder, he would immediately free Norman up to be a box-to-box. It'd free Gilmore to play further up, or Rupp to play further up, as he should do. Probably free up Lise Malou to get on the ball a bit more as well. It would immediately transform our midfield and then therefore our creativity. And it's a bit of a scandal that we've not brought in. I know we brought in Amadou, and that wasn't a success the last season under Farker in the Premier League as well. What we really need is the Alex Tetty that Houghton brought in 2012-13, who was an excellent defensive midfielder and allowed and if that kind of player in the current Norwich City team would allow them, I think, to be a bit more creative.
Mm-hmm. Okay, to be devil's advocate though,
and then we could also bring in about 3 more wingers as well, and a couple.
What I was gonna leave it to Steve or Ryan. I mean, that would still leave, say, and I wouldn't want to pick on anyone in particular, but certain forwards having to be the ones to take the chances.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that is what we're fundamentally lacking. Like, I would agree with Dan. I just think, but on the basis that we've needed one for like the last 5 or 6 windows, and we haven't probably brought one in other than Ollie Skip on loan. I don't see it happening. So I guess, the other thing is, not only have we not replaced Skip, I say this till I'm blue in the face, but Buendia as well. Like, we haven't actually, all the wide players we've got, none of them are natural on the right hand side. Other than, I suppose you could say, Josh Sargent, who is fundamentally a centre forward. So, I mean, please, for the love of God, let's not sign someone like Dwight Gale, because we do not need somebody, because Pukki is our centre forward, right? And that will continue to be the case until the end of the season. So Gale is going to get minutes here and there. As far as I know, he doesn't play on the wing. But what they need, if we're talking about a player to come in and start scoring goals, you want somebody that's got the ability to do that from the right-hand side. And then you're looking at a front 3 of Pukki, Rashica and one other. If you keep them fit for the rest of the season, maybe they could do something. But obviously, do I have the faith that we're going to recruit the right sort of player? Not entirely, but they must be out there. They must be.
It must be out there somewhere.
I was going to completely agree with that point from Steve as well, because I think the recruitment in the summer was based around this sort of variation of 4-3-3 that Daniel Farker was going to play, and that in itself just didn't work out and the recruitment was based around basically getting 2 players of each position for that setup. And someone needs to come in who's going to completely shake up that right hand side and again offer something in the middle as well, because that things look pretty impotent going through there basically as well, I think.
That's the word. It's exciting that we still have 20, don't depress yourself, Michael, 20 more days of the January transfer window to play out. Lots can happen between now and then. And rest assured, we will be commenting on all of it. And if I find anything out, I'll let you know, because that's my job. So that's all good. Anyone worried about what other teams do during this window?
No.
Yes.
No.
I'll be devil's advocate. Yes, only because I think there's only so many quality players you can buy if you have Newcastle's money and not see some reward from that.
I would say it's probably more Watford's ability to buy, because at least their squad is better than Newcastle's already. If they add a bit of extra quality to it, then they could disappear into the distance, leaving us with Newcastle and Burnley. That's my one worry.
Oh, what a championship!
I just don't think Newcastle can attract the kind. Well, I mean, Trippier's obviously an excellent player, but I don't think they're going to attract too many of that caliber. Which is why Cantwell feels like a good fit. Someone who could probably buy, who they all know will be relatively happy in the Championship next season. That's what the kind of player they need at the moment, isn't it? And that's quite hard to find. Real quality for.
Sounds like the kind of players we've got. No, I'm not going to say it. By the way, I mean, Teemu Pukki is out of contract in the summer. Everyone seems to be totally relaxed about that situation.
I didn't say that. I'm not relaxed.
I think there might be an option, but yeah, I think there might be an option.
That's made me really sad.
Maybe I now feel like I should double check that, which I'm just going to do now, which you can't tell.
While you're checking, I was just thinking, outside of
Norwich have an option. So I mean, let's be honest. Norwich have done a lot of daft things recently, but I think not extending Teemu Pukki's contract would be right up there, wouldn't it? So there we go. Right, moving on then swiftly, shall we, to our last section, which of course is always this.
This is almost fantasy football.
Yeah, it's time to look ahead and paint the picture of what to expect over the coming 7 days from Norwich City. They head to West Ham on Wednesday evening for that rearranged game from the 18th of December or whenever it was, when Norwich's COVID and injury and illness issues all accumulated. And then it's Everton at home on Saturday. Now, West Ham are a really good side, although David Moyes, I think, is complaining about having a midweek game at the moment, so he's not best pleased. So that's good, I suppose. But that's going to be particularly tricky. Everton, though, I think Norwich kind of owe Everton one, and Everton are rubbish. So maybe Norwich can do something in that one. How confident are we feeling, Ryan? What do you reckon? Just the 4 points, maybe?
Yeah, just the. Do you know what I think now? I think now is the best time to play Everton. I really, really do, and I actually think 3 points for the next 2 games. I think Wednesday's going to be a bit. Yeah, I'm kind of fearing the worst for Wednesday, but Saturday, why not? Why not, eh? Why not?
I'm hoping we're in full-on complacency mode here now, Steve. Like West Ham, Norwich rocking up at West Ham. They are going to be expecting, well, A, not to concede a goal, and B, probably to score 2 or 3. So, you never know. Get a quick goal ahead, hang in there for 90 minutes, job done. Simple. I made it sound so easy.
I feel like could we just like clip that and use that for every single one of this section for the rest of the season? You never know. They might be complacent. They think they'll win by 2 or 3. Let's turn up there 90 minutes. Lovely jubbly. I can't see any way that we can.
Steve, I've got to do this for 19 more games.
Well, that's right, because 2 of them. We've got 2 of them next week, so that's 2 down already.
True.
I think, I just can't see it on Wednesday. West Ham are really good. They're good. They're good from set pieces. They're physical. They're the kind of team that we don't like playing. I do think Saturday is the one. We felt that way about Villa and it didn't go our way. I'm sure that we will be better in the next 2 games, performance-wise, than we have been over recent weeks. Just because players are back, the COVID thing's not an issue. I would stick Rashica and Pukki straight in. I think they looked far sharper than anyone else, as I've already said. So I think they've got to start with getting the semblance of the first 11 back. So, I mean, I think we can turn in a good display on Wednesday, and it probably still wouldn't be enough. So I almost think let's not worry too much about that one. But Saturday feels big.
Midfield is actually a big issue when you think about it now. Norman's out. Gilmore's probably going to be out. Lucas Rupp has had a setback with his hamstring. So there's not many midfielders. I mean, there's me sort of questioning Jakob Sorensen earlier, but it might literally have to be him, Dan, and Kenny McLean and Pierre, and I don't think there's anyone else, is there?
No, there's usually someone we forget in midfield, isn't there? Especially, yeah.
Ozanka back.
And I'm one of the few people who seems to think that Rupp should probably get in our starting 11 when everyone.
No, I would. Yeah. No, I would.
Good,
but what I would say, I suppose, is with players coming back outside of midfield positions, this feels quite a big couple of weeks for Dean Smith. Not just obviously because we need to get as many points as possible, but we'll find out whether it was a manager's bouncer start or whether he actually had changed and improved the way we play. Because those games against Southampton, Wolves and Man United, we were excellent. We were good in them. We obviously lost to Man United, should have beaten Wolves comfortably. But they looked like we had a plan. We were playing higher up the pitch. The players looked like they knew what they were doing, which they certainly didn't in the end days of Daniel Farke. So is Dean Smith's Norwich, is it the Norwich of those three games, or is it the Norwich of the Villa, Arsenal and Palace performances? And I think we'll find that out over the next few weeks. Personally, I think it is the performances of those first three games, because I think Dean Smith and Craig Shakespeare are excellent coaches, and you could see what they've done to that team. And maybe, it's a bit unfortunate that we've got very few midfielders that are fit, but I do think once we've got a few players back, and we'll start to see that maybe, we do just have that little bit of chance to put a run together.
See, listen to that positivity bubbling up.
Michael, just a quick one on Everton as well. I noticed that last week they signed Nathan Patterson, the right back from Rangers, and it just made me think that's one that I've kind of been earmarking for Max for a couple of years, thinking, Coleman's getting on, they could probably do with someone. It just felt like another door closing for him in terms of his Premier League aspirations. And I don't know whether to feel happy or sad about that, because as much as I'd like to keep him, I sort of feel like he deserves better than the yo-yoing. But anyway, that's just an observation, really. Yeah,
that's a really good point, actually. And I wonder how other Premier League teams feel about Norwich's young players, because you look at what Jamal's done. It's not really much since leaving, but he is regular for Northern Ireland, but he's not regular for Newcastle. I mean, they'll know all about Ben Godfrey, I suppose. And he sort of seems to be starting, but not at centre back, from what I can tell. But I've not really been looking into it. And obviously, then with Todd, and that was an interesting one, because I was expecting Max's name to be out there a bit more so far this window, and it hasn't really been linked anywhere yet, has it? So, and
I guess the fact that Barley Mumba's been loaned out probably means that he's going nowhere, which is certainly good news for the rest of the season. And just as you mentioned Ben Godfrey, quick shout out to Gary Field in the comments, who said that he was loaned out to Shrewsbury, had a very successful loan, 8.45, and came back, and certainly made the breakthrough the following season. And also, I know this was before the Farke years, but he was somebody that we bought cheap from York, wasn't it?
He was indeed, as an 18-year-old. Yes,
that's right.
That's a great shout. They exactly did. I mean, the curious thing, I suppose, is that he went out and did incredibly well as a defensive midfielder, and then he was turned into a centre back where he hadn't really played much.
Jakob Sorensen.
But that is exactly. Yeah, I'm not having that conversation with Ben Godfrey anymore. So that is a good shout, Gary. Well done. We always forget one, which is probably should be our podcast mantra from here on in. Right. And is there any more questions that we had in the comments? Should we have a quick look about whether there was anything in there? Let's have a look. He says, I haven't read this one. Ian Barron. Hello, Ian. Darlington fan. We made bankrupt in 2011. We formed in 2012 to make 4 leagues. We're currently a fan-owned national. Well, I mean, that sounds pretty good. So that's good. Have they still got the amazingly big stadium?
I think they may have. I don't know. You can use that when you start to be a Darlington podcast.
That same chap Ian also said Diego Costa to Norwich as well, because he's a free agent now, isn't he?
There he is.
Now that I would love.
But you know what it's like. You see it pop up. I think he's going to go to another Brazilian side. But you see these things pop up, and you're like, could he do a job? Which is just a nice thought to have, isn't it? Adam, West Ham will be a total embarrassment. Everton, I'll go with a 0-0. That is exactly the kind of stuff we need on here. That's brilliant, Adam. James Kidd, I think Josh Sargent is not good enough for this league. Now, the problem there, James, is you haven't stipulated which league. I
do feel bad for him, man. I really, really do. Like, he gets a lot of grief, and I know he's not been great, but how is that going to help? Let's be honest. Like, I think it's possible to acknowledge someone's been not that great and also try and not kick them while they're down, really,
Yeah. And also, blame the recruitment, not the player.
Yeah.
I
feel like we were so close to getting through a whole pod without some Josh Sargent battering, but didn't quite get there.
Jake Williams says, are we going to talk about Ipswich losing 2-0 to Barrow? Because that did happen, I think, probably since we were last on. So thank you, Jake. We now have. I don't want to throw any stones, though, because, before you know it, we'll be hosting them at Carrow Road next season. I think we're probably done for all the comments, which is great. Lots of mentions of Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. I can't remember why. This is the sort of thing you lose track of what it was. But Gary Allen says Ricky Van Wolfswinkel could have been good if he hadn't been here under Chris Hughton. Did okay after he left. Not Norwich, but on that suitably reminiscent note, I think we're probably done for this week's podcast, which is the 92nd edition of the pod and the beginning of 2022 for real. And that is it. I mean, I want to start this link again because I've sort of gone in halfway through it. So I'm going to say that is it for the 92nd edition and the beginning of 2022 for real here on The Ball, the Norwich City podcast that rarely refuses a sticky toffee pudding. I think you'll agree me doing the link to get that line in was entirely worth it. If you're yet to do so, make sure you subscribe via your podcast player of choice. The pod is available free for everyone on your usual player, and we are now streaming the recording of the podcast live in video form on my social media channels. Just search for it. I think you'll know how to search for it by now. Ratings and reviews, whenever prompted, are always hugely appreciated. And if you want to get in touch with any questions or topic proposals, please do. Just send me a direct message on Twitter. The handle is at Michael J. Bailey. A big thank you to our guests this evening. Steve, thank you so much. Lovely to be back.
Thank you, Michael. It's lovely to be back. Yes, you're right.
Hurrah. Dan, thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Michael. Happy New Year.
Top class work. Ryan, top class work too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, mate.
We'll be back next week for a fresh bout of Canaries Capers in another On the Ball Norwich City podcast. I do realise I shouldn't laugh as I say that. Until then, never mind the danger. And we're clear. Happy New Year again, Steve, Dan, Ryan, all you Twitterkers out there. Welcome to Wits End for the first time in 2022. They said it would never reach this landmark, probably, whoever they are.
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. I think we did probably at one point. If any of you have stumbled across this for the first time and are wondering what is going on and why the pod hasn't actually finished, although it sort of has, then listen to On the Ball podcast number 42, which went live on September the 8th, 2020. How long ago does that feel? It's all explained there. You can email this bonus part of the podcast directly, Twitterkers, Twitter, KERS @iCloud.com, or use the hashtag Twitterkers on Twitter. Just don't explain what it refers to because this is a secret club for only those who discover it. Now, tonight, yes, I have not updated our puns from last year. Sorry about that. I've still got a few emails to get through because we had quite a few submitted. Maybe I'll do some of that on the way. I haven't given up on them. They're obviously just having a break, and then maybe they'll come back all the stronger. I did sort of commandeer a tweet though that I saw today, which I quite liked. So I just decided I would flag it up. It's from Chris Sadler. He tweeted it. It was a Norwich City Star Wars mashup, which I quite liked. So I'll just read through these if I may. We've got episode 4, A New Rup. Was that A New Hope, that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, yes.
I don't know Star Wars.
As resident Star Wars man, yes, that's correct.
Okay, you're going to save us here, Ryan, I think.
Episode 4, A New Rup. But it's Rup. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Quebec. Episode 1, The Phantom Jollis. Episode 3, Revenge. No, you're not having no.
The Phantom Dennis Srebeni. That would be better, right?
The Phantom Dennis Srebeni. I mean, I'm surprised you were okay with A New Rup, but you had an issue with Jollis. Episode 3, Revenge of the Smith. That's good. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know which Smith. Is it Delia? Is it Dean? And these are all starring C-3PO Bamadeli. Han.
Nice. I like that. That's nice.
Han Soto. Who isn't playing for Porto yet, I don't think.
Okay, yeah.
Wesley Houlihan Soto, surely.
Well, yes. Yeah. Good one. Thanks, Dan. Darth Eder.
Oh, no.
These were better when I was reading them in my head. Probably because of the last one, which is also starring Obi-Wan Sinani. Well, I'm glad we did that. Wow. I mean, I tell you what, it makes us feel much better about our own space and astrological puns. You'll all be desperate for those next week now, I can assure you. So I think the only thing we're really going to do in Wits End this week is a quiz, isn't it, Ryan? That's why you're here.
Yes, it's the only reason.
It's not why you're here, but it's definitely a good excuse.
Well, this is my neck of the woods now, boys. You're in my court.
We need the
last hour of imposter syndrome, but now I feel like this is my territory.
Okay. So let me just do it. Shall I do a sting now, or after you've introduced the name of the quiz?
Oh, it's up to you.
Okay. It's time for Ryan's quiz.
Nice.
Now you're in.
Nice. This is a quiz I'm calling. Is he a footballer? Is he? Because because that sounded better in my head, believe it or not. So my lovely mother has no clue about football, and she also is probably the most Norfolk person on the planet. So what I did last night,
what's her name?
Her name's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
She's not watching. But I showed her all pictures of all 25 squad players, and I just said, Mum, describe these players.
Oh gosh.
And you have to guess which player she's describing.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Okay. I like this.
Okay. Let's hope this doesn't get us in trouble. Yes, it won't. I promise you it won't. Fantastic.
So we just have a reminder how it went for me last time we did this when I couldn't name.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
Norwich City midfielders in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And Ian Peters, obviously, the Norwich legend. And what I was going to say is if anyone still watching wants to join in, then comment suggested answers, because you might get there before we do. It's entirely possible.
Fantastic. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to try and read them like my mum would as well. So, all right, here we go. Nice, easy one to start.
Okay.
I think you look like someone out of a group. Not Take That. Like Boyzone.
Todd Cantwell.
Yeah, it's got to be Todd, right?
Are we locking in Todd?
Lock in Todd.
Yeah, easy one to start with, boys. Good. It's Todd Cantwell.
Do you reckon he'd rather be in Boyzone or Take That, Todd Cantwell?
NSYNC, I would have had.
E17?
Yeah. No, he's not an E17.
I was thinking One Direction, but no.
Oh, that's I think it'd just be Bieber. I don't think he'd want the group.
Yeah, true.
Anyway.
Going solo. Okay, next one.
This is
I can't believe I'm doing this.
This is gold.
Is comb over? That's all right. Is he hiding something? Has he got a ball patch?
Oh.
Ooh.
Okay, so going full comb over.
Cruel?
I wonder if that's
got a comb over.
Well,
Kieran Dow?
Yeah, that was what I was thinking,
yes, Dow.
because of how his hair is.
Oh, we're looking in KD.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was Brandon Williams.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Debbie.
It's like that.
A fringe rather than a comb over, maybe.
Yeah, I know. But hey, listen, it's just what she said. Don't shoot the messenger, man.
This is brilliant. Okay, so
I've got plenty
Josh
more,
guessed Johnny Howson, but I'm not sure which one it was for. But there, I'm just flagging it up.
Okay, again, easy one for this one. Ooh, I wouldn't shave my head if I was him. I think it'd look nicer with hair. Could do with a comb over.
Pookie?
Yeah, come on. He's the only bald guy in the squad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shout, boys. Good shout.
He could do with a comb over, but Williams looks like he's hiding something with his comb over. I don't know whether Debbie's a fan or not of it.
Listen, I hate the game, not Debbie, Steve.
This is true. Oh, no, we love Debbie. Thanks for going the effort. Adam got that one right, by the way.
Nice. Thank you, Adam, for playing along.
Jeff Lindell said Norman, which I'm guessing was for the boy band one.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not a comb over boy, but
he's not a comb over boy. No.
He's 17. He could be in, definitely.
And to be honest, good shout, especially with his highlights.
Totally. So this next one is my favourite.
He looks nice and sweet, a bit like a chipmunk. Actually, he looks a bit worried.
Well, I tell you who looks worried all of the time, and that's Max Aaron.
I was going to say Max, yeah.
I don't think you'll get this one, but no, please lock your guesses in. So we're going for Max Aarons.
Well, it's not. I can tell from the.
Yes, I've given that away. That much for sure.
But who would look like a chipmunk?
I mean, what does a chipmunk look like? Big teeth.
Big cheeks. Who's got big cheeks?
I mean, Poeta looks sort of sad all of the time, but it doesn't really look like a chipmunk. So,
Josh has just come in with Jar Jar Jilks, which I'm guessing is a Star Wars pun. But we could throw him into the mix. Great work, Josh. This is good. I'm loving the interactive element of this.
You might have to give us it. I can't.
Billy Gilmore. Yeah, Billy Gilmore.
You will be surprised. It was Tim Krul.
Oh my god!
Yeah, don't ask why. I didn't see it either, but I was like, yeah. Oh, Sergeant. Yeah, see, that's who I thought you were going to guess, but it wasn't.
Went with Sergeant. So he gets an honorary mention. Tom King went with Gilmore, which was the nice. moral victory.
I would say Tim Krul's default face is probably angry rather than sad.
Yeah.
I think she was basing it off of the official club photo where he looks a bit like he's been caught red-handed, I think.
Yeah, Jeff went in with the sergeant as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'll mention that to Tim next time I see him.
Yes, please do.
Look like a worried chipmunk, Tim.
Look like a worried chipmunk.
I'm conscious that we can come back and do this a second round.
Yes.
So should we do one more?
Let's do one more. Okay, let me pick a good one.
Okay, here we go, everyone. One more.
Right, here we go.
Ooh, he was in the Peaky Blinders. He looked a bit like one of them dwarves from Lord of the Rings. Very stern.
I love the thinking there's a crossover between Lord of the Rings and Peaky Blinders.
So let's do one more time. Michael's got his head in his hands.
Ooh, he was in the Peaky Blinders. He looked a bit like one of them dwarves from Lord of the Rings. Very stern.
Right. Do the dwarves have beards?
I'm not sure it's a conversation we should be having.
Dwarves are generally bearded.
Yeah, dwarves have beards, right? Who looks stern? Jolis?
That's a dwarf wearing a flat cap.
Yeah, Jolis is a shout because he's got
got a square,
that sort of square head with very short hair.
Hanley's got a square head.
Hanley's got a
I feel like
oblong
we're just
head.
defaming all the players
and the beards. Yeah, we probably So here we go. Look, we've got Tom King's gone Kenny McLean. Josh has gone Hanley. Stephen's gone Hanley. So they're the ones who've come in. So we've got probably a bit of Hanley momentum there.
I'd say Dowell is the most Peaky Blinders, but hasn't got many dwarf elements to his face.
Who would be Peaky Blinderish? I can't.
I mean, you're
Pierre
very much
Pierre Les Malou. He's got a beard.
I think we've said everyone now.
I can't. Said everyone. Well, you'll be surprised to learn.
Hanley as well, so I think the public are going Hanley.
You'll be surprised to learn the answer was Tim Krul again. No, it was Grant Hanley. It was Grant.
Where does the Peaky Blinders come in?
I don't know.
No, look in his eye.
want some written workings behind these.
Yeah, can we get Debbie on next week to justify?
I'll do it live. Tom King threw in a late Rashika, and Josh with a Williams. So I think we all agree we all won. We all won the quiz. Ryan, thank you so much. A big round of applause, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Doing a great work for the.
Listen, that's what I do, boys.
And we'll have either a continuation of that one or another quiz the next time you're on, Ryan, because it's just too much fun.
Why not? Why not?
It did a complete side issue, but Tom's mentioned there. I did try and work out how to write da 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 in a tweet, and I did put it in a tweet over the game on Sunday, but I don't know if I scanned it right. So maybe if anyone can fill in how you would write.
You posted it or you put it and thought better of it?
No, I did post it.
You did post it.
Just left it there. And then I was like, will anyone know what that means? Because I might have just gone a bit doolally. But anyway, I don't know why I've mentioned that. It's obviously I'm out of practice. Tom King, I'm hedging my bets here. Debbie sounds a right laugh.
Nice.
Well said, Tom.
Is she?
Oh, yeah. She's the best. Yeah. The best. I'm not going to say no, am I? Let's be honest.
I don't know, it was just the silence. It was the silence that did it, I think. Right. And unless anyone has any other business that they wanted to bring up.
I meant to mention earlier, where's Houlihan's hair? Did anyone notice he's got a ponytail now?
Oh, yeah.
And all the clamour around Cambridge beating Newcastle, I was quite sad to see that Wes has gone down that route. At 39 years, he's going to be 40 this year.
What a man.
What would Debbie say about him, eh? Mind boggles.
Boy zone. It looks like he should be in boy zone.
I'll find out later and keep you posted.
Gorgeous man, that Wesley Houlihan. Well, I think that's the perfect note to end on. So in that case, thank you guys. We've already said goodbye once, so I'll leave it to a 1, 2, 3, and we can all say goodbye. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I wouldn't have wanted anyone else on our first podcast of the year, so thank you for joining us. And we'll do it all again very soon. But if we can all say goodbye on 3, that would be lovely. So 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. And then I can just do that and then mute them all, and we are done. Remember, if you want to get in touch with Wits End, you can do that by sending in a tweet with the hashtag Twitterkers, or you can email us twitterkers@icloud.com. But until next time and until next week, that's a wrap. And that's the end of the podcast. We're all recorded. We are all done. I'm just going to say goodbye. Thanks for joining in the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a real pleasure to have everyone back in and to just have some fun, because it can get a bit loosey, can't it? So that's been lovely. Let's hope we maintain that momentum and energy for the coming weeks. I will be at West Ham on Wednesday, so I will see you there, of course. And there'll be all the usual stuff over at the Athletic. Hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you again next week. And I'm going to sign off now. Night, everyone. Take care of yourselves.